Hello! So, welcome to SGDA's first Student Showcase Games, Bucket of Bolts from Washtenaw CC. This is Jason again, President of SGDA.
My name is Anuj. I'm the webmaster of SGDA.
And I'm Strider. I'm the developer of the game.
All right. So, Jason, are you ready to go?
Yeah, I think we're good.
All right, sweet. With that, let's get started. For our first question, we'd like to ask, where are you calling in from, and are you the only developer of Bucket of Bolts?
So, I am currently working a job in Florida, but I am based out of Michigan, about half an hour north of Ann Arbor.
Okay, sweet. Were you the sole developer, or was there a full team working on this game?
It was just me. I got critique from people in my class, but it was just me making it.
That's super cool. Wait, Jason, the ship. We need to get on the ship.
Bad.
There we go.
Suck at this.
Terrible. Oh no! Oh no! Where did you ricochet around?
No worries, I'll find my way
out. While we wait, I guess. How did the game get started? Where did you get the idea from, and like kind of just what was the origin story of this game?
So, I needed to make a game for this capstone class of the animation course at Washtenaw. And so I hopped in a call with a couple of people to start brainstorming, and I was thinking I wanted to build a game where two teams are on pirate ships and they have to pilot them against each other and try and fight each other. But then after thinking about it, that was just I like that idea, but it's too big to build in one semester. So I pared it down. I just wanted it to be one team, one ship navigating the field. But I wanted to throw a fun coding challenge in. So I built I set it in space and built the gravity system.
The gravity system was reminded me a lot of Mario Galaxy, and it was really cool to see the first. Jason, get on the guns. The orange one.
My bad.
No worries.
I'm just a little bit distracted.
No worries. Okay, I see what you mean about the difficulty slider that we were talking about earlier, because there were not this many enemies last time I played locally.
Oh, okay, yeah. But yeah, Mario Galaxy was a big inspiration. I went up and studied how that worked when I was building it out.
I remember that for the California Collegiate Game Jam. Sorry, just needed to pause, and we're gone. I remember for the California Collegiate Game Jam, one of the developers made a Super Mario Galaxy inspired game as well. With that in mind, what were some of the technical difficulties that came with making a game with this type of control scheme?
So yeah, the big technical difficulty with this is when you're building around planets, you don't inherently know what direction is down.
Oh yeah.
So that just makes the logic of everything a lot harder. So you have to do a bunch of math to figure out how, like, what direction you should be moving, or one game feel thing that platformers use a lot is higher gravity when you're moving down. So instead of like moving down in the y-axis, I had to like measure the angle of your velocity versus the source of gravity.
And especially the fact that like there's nothing that the game doesn't really like. This is a really good idea of like the game not changing what you're like. Sorry, I'm having a time. But the game kind of stays. The game kind of stays the same orientation, regardless of like where the player is. Because I feel like if you change the camera too, that would be a really easy way to get motion sickness. But that sounds like it was really hard to program too.
Yeah. It was pretty difficult to get even to figure out, like, from a design standpoint, when the player is under a planet and they press left, do they go clockwise or do they move along the planet? And so just getting that set up, getting that working in code, and getting the tolerances right for different controllers was an issue. So like the leniency for the angle of your control stick versus the planet is much less lenient when you're using a thumbstick versus a D-pad or a keyboard.
Right, definitely. Like I feel because with keyboard and mouse you have like it's digital, so it's like either on or off. But with I feel like that makes a big difference with a game like this. Jason, you try controlling the ship this time.
Oh, I'm terrible at it. I don't.
Yeah, just stand on top of it and press B or X, I guess, to show a keyboard. There we go.
There you go.
My bad.
Do you have any plans for future development of this game, or are you satisfied with where it is right now?
I am pretty satisfied with it. I don't have any big features in mind that I wanted to add. Like, it was very much scoped to be built in a semester. But I am thinking about like putting in some bug fixes and cleaning up the code and stuff.
It does, like, this is still really cool for like a semester project, especially considering that like figuring out this math just seems really hard.
Yeah, some of it is building like the basic system of you need to be oriented and pulled towards a point wasn't actually super advanced. Like that I was able to figure out in a few days. But building everything else around that and keeping it in mind is where the real challenge came in.
Right, especially considering the fact that like you have to like make sure that it doesn't end up like being too taxing on the hardware, because the graphics are simple. Yeah, go for it.
The graphics are simple. There's a pooled object system for all the objects actually, except for the player, I think. So asteroid far behind the ships get deleted.
Got it. Okay. I also really like the particle effects of like the cannon firing. That's like very satisfying. I say as I miss twice. We already talked about that. How has the game changed over the course of the development of it? Was there anything that you had to cut or otherwise remove, or is this consistent with what you were planning originally?
Let me think. I was originally planning like an easier way for the players to attack enemies directly. I think that was a bit of a carryover I had in mind from the original idea of like a fighting game I had before it. But that was kind of cut for time. And then I know I wanted a movement option. It was originally going to be a jetpack, a grappling hook.
Oh, a grappling hook.
But that was just another system. Yeah. But it would be kind of really hard to get it to work in this planetary gravity environment. So I just went with the jetpack instead as your movement option.
I think the jetpack works really well with the gravitational system. Like with the grappling hook, it'd be the question of like, what do you grapple to? You know. And but with this, it's like we
exactly. Right. Yeah, that was exactly the point.
Did you have any like test builds with grappling hook, or was it just a thing that was in like the testing and kind of testing alone?
I don't think I ever got a grappling hook fully working.
That's fair.
I think I toyed around with it a little. I toyed around. I don't actually remember if I even tried implementing it or if I was just like at the stage of this and I was like, this isn't gonna work.
Right. Like getting the gravity, getting like just the jetpack working must have been a time.
Yeah, and it was initially a lot more, I don't know, violent of a throw with the jetpack. But as the game went on and I tuned it more, you have a bit more like fine control over the jetpack.
Right. Well, I think we were talking earlier on the call before while we were checking the technology that you mentioned that this game had a dynamic difficulty. So let's talk about that on stream. What did that kind of entail when it comes to design?
So, the main idea, the design idea behind that was the experience of playing as one player is going to be a lot harder inherently than playing with multiple players. Because the challenge of the game is, running to these terminals, managing everything on your ship. So, because I wanted you to be able to play with different amounts of players, that needed a setting, and also the ship, because the ship grows in power as you go on and you collect more crystals. You needed another challenge. So you needed the challenge to grow with you.
Right.
So that's where the system came out of from a design standpoint.
Because otherwise you're kind of like, once you get in a crystal, you just outrun everything.
Both. Yeah. But the spawn rates and I think speed of enemies changes some of this difficulty, and the difficulty is adjusted based on how many players you have and how far away you are from spawn.
Oh, how far away you are from spawn. I did not. Perhaps I didn't get far away enough from spawn to recognize that. But that makes sense. Kind of like how Risk of Rain. The longer your run is, the more difficult it becomes.
Yeah, I think so.
In this case, it's quite literally how long your run is.
That's true. Yeah. Well, it's in like story-based games like Zelda or something. The last dungeon is going to be a lot harder than the first dungeon.
Right.
But in games where it's like you have to beat it in one run, you still need that difficulty scaling.
Like the last level of Hades, for example, is still like at least like it's still like way harder than the first level. Like you still need that scaling. So that makes a lot of sense. Like it works. It's kind of like an interesting progression system. And and the difficulty is definitely noticeable.
Yeah. I didn't want it to be kind of we're going to need to kind of bubble down if you and friends want to be.
think you were cutting out a little bit there. But with that, I think that for now we should start wrapping up. So, is there anybody that you want to shout out? Anybody that you want to send a message to, or anything like that?
Yeah. Shout out to my teacher at Washtenaw, Randy Van Wicken. So head of the department, great guy. Yeah.
Awesome, cool. Thank you so much for hopping on and speaking with us. Bucket of Bolts will be available we will be able to download it on the website and also on the SGDA.io. And thank you so much for joining us. And thank you to everybody watching. We'll be back soon with our next game, Death to Love.